Warming up to a Sunday matchup between the Giants and the Eagles here on Birds 365. Johnny Mac needs to get over here from Coach Sirianni, so I am lucky enough to get Barrett Brooks subbing in. Talk about strength off the bench. Talk about depth. We got Big B, Barrett Brooks, joining us. How you been, Big B?
Good, man. Good morning. Good morning. And number one, I think I'll play a lot better than Jack Driscoll right now, so I'll be a wingman, all right?
Thank you very much for that. So you heard Johnny Mac and I talking there at the end.
Yeah.
So we will go there first. And I almost feel bad asking you this question because Barrett does a great job not only for us here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, but NBC Sports Philly as well. But I'm sorry, I look at you, big man, and you're a former offensive lineman in the National Football League. That's my number one Barrett Brooks thought. You are what you are, and therefore I'm needing your expertise on the offensive line in the NFL, since you can say, been there, done that. Not me, not Johnny Mac, not anybody else here. You're the only one who can do that. How bad was Jack Driscoll last week? Now, I'm not writing him off for his entire career. I'm just analyzing the 60 minutes of football against the Saints last week. He was not good, was he?
It was just overmatched. Jordan gave him more than he could handle. And, just looking at it, it's not all his fault. If you know your player is outmatched in a position, you got to send somebody over to help him. You got to do something to help this guy out. And they didn't help him out. Probably to mid to early third quarter. And by then, his whole psyche's gone, because you're asking him to go out there and block one-on-one against one of the better defensive ends in the league, number one. Number two, I understand why they did it, because that's how they run their offense. They're so used to having two guys on the outside that can handle their own, that they don't have to call plays to help them. So when you have a Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, when they had JP out there, when they had Big V out there, those guys could play on their own. They could do whatever they want to do on their own, and you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's just like, with Lane Johnson, is almost like, remember Darrelle Revis, one of the best corners in the league. They used to call him Revis Island. Well, hey, Lane Johnson has his own island over there also. So you could just put him over there and not worry about whoever he's going against. If they have the best defensive end in the league playing over Lane Johnson, you're still not worried about him. You're still going to let him play and not send a chipper or a tight or anything else. You can move and slide the line other places. Well, they didn't do that. They didn't slide the line to him. They didn't send a chipper his way. Not to they really had to in the third quarter. And by then, Jack Driscoll was at a point like, damn, you can at least kiss me. You ain't even kissing me right now. You know what I'm saying? You just put me out there all alone. So you can call a better game. You can do something to help promote his strengths. He's a great run blocker. So run the ball.
Right, and I don't think they ran it enough. I think there was plenty of blame to go around. Jack didn't have a good day, but there was plenty of blame to go around with the Eagles scoring only 10 points, 7 of which came on one big play. Now, it's a nice throw by Gardner. It was a great play by AJ. I don't want to downplay that 78-yard touchdown, but that was it. They got the end zone once on one play. So overall, the Eagles' offense did struggle against the Saints. All right, I asked this of Ross Tucker, who we had on as a guest, or I had on as a guest on WIP with me prior to the Saints game. So let me run it by you. I said I thought this was before the Eagles made it official that Jack Driscoll was just going to be plugged in for Lane Johnson for the game. I said maybe the Eagles should go down the road of, listen, Jack, it's your job until it's not. And know full well you're going to be graded this week. And if the grade doesn't come back high enough, we're going to go in another direction. We're going to move my lot over and plug Dillard in to try and put the test on him, put some pressure on him to see if he can live up to that pressure. And the response I got was, no, I do the exact opposite, Jody. Throw your arms around him. Tell him he's the greatest. Show him complete and utter confidence. Try and lift him up rather than put him under a microscope. I would have gone microscope. Ross, a former offensive lineman in the National Football League, much like yourself, had a different view. So, of course, I second-guessed myself. Are you going to tell me again, like Ross did, I got no idea what I'm talking about? Or was I actually onto something? Because now the results are in. And the results didn't go too well. If they went down the road of you, the man, Jack Driscoll, he didn't have much of a game. Perhaps should they have handled it differently last week?
I mean, I'm under the impression that you want your best five out on the field, no matter what. And I thought that we were going to have the game already. I mean, we're going to have the position locked up where we're the number one seed and we're going to be okay. We're still banking on Lane being in the playoffs. I mean, what he has as injury is a core injury, and you can play with that injury. He's getting the proper rest right now. But what if he goes in and can't go, and now you have to rely on Jack Driscoll? I don't want to rely on Jack Driscoll. I want to put my five best offensive linemen on the field. And Jordan Mailata moving to the right side and Dillard playing is the better of the offensive lines. To me, that makes more sense, because he didn't. Everybody goes, "Oh no, you're weakening two positions." No, you're not weakening two positions, because Jordan Mailata playing right tackle is better than Jack Driscoll 100%. Jordan Mailata is way better than him, and Dillard is way better than Jack Driscoll. The only thing that what worries me about Dillard is if you put him in there like during a game where he's coming in, he might be spotty then. But if you start him, he plays at a high level. If he knows he's the starter, he prepares himself like a starter. He plays at a high level. And I think that's what you needed to do going into this playoff, just in case, because you want your best five on the field when you're in the playoff race. So you move him now that way Jordan's used to playing the right side, because it takes you a little bit, to get accustomed to moving, having your hemisphere go from the left side to the right side, and the mechanics go to the left side to the right side. He's done it his entire career, with the exception of this year and last year. He did it 2 years before. He played right side for the most part. Have him over there now. Just get him prepped now, because when you get in the playoffs, you're playing against the best of the best. You're not playing against slouches anymore. So you can't have a slouch out there. And I just really think that Jack Driscoll is going to be outmatched whoever he plays against, because you saw that they put Jordan on his side, and he played over the left tackle all season. But against us, he played him on the right side, and he beat up on Jack Driscoll. That's what teams are going to do, put their best pass rusher on that side.
And what makes this even more difficult is not difficult. It's a good thing, but our debate as to how the Eagles should have handled it last week, should have handled this. Everybody's hoping Lane's back next week. We're all believing Lane's going to be back for the playoffs, but we don't know that either. It just cross your fingers. He didn't have the surgery, so we know that's what he's attempting to do.
Yes, that's it, Jody, right there. We don't know if he's going to be able to come back. So why not put your best product out on the field right now? Get him accustomed to playing there right now. That's why it didn't make much sense to me. I understand, people think, Dillard is not the toughest guy in the world, but he's not the worst guy in the world either. He could start for half the teams in the NFL. There may be a little bias, in that with the coaching staff, like, all right, this kid can't play. Well, he plays well enough when you give him the encouragement. He's one of those guys, you got to give him a couple of data boys. You know what I'm saying? Data boy, there you go. He needs that positive reinforcement. You talking about positive reinforcement? He needs that. He needs to be coddled. But once you do that to him, he plays at a higher rate. He plays at a higher level.
All right, I caught you on NBC Sports Philly this morning doing your AM analysis. And guy you talked up pretty good was CJGJ.
Get him in there.
Gardner Johnson. Much like Lane Johnson, we know what we think, but we should also know that we know nothing.
Right.
It's all speculation at this point. You were talking about pretty good. Can be back, can play in the slot, not a problem, natural position. You got inside info, or are you just wishful thinking too?
Well, I mean, look at the reports. He didn't have a limited practice. He was a full participant. So if he's a full participant, that means he can play. Do you play him now? Well, he had 5 weeks rest. He didn't play for the last 5 weeks. Put him in there, see where he is. We need to win this game, regardless of putting in starters and everything else. You look what Dallas did last year against us. They played their starters all the way halfway through the middle of the third quarter. We can't play around. We've got to win this game. It's got to be no question who the better team is on Sunday. We need to totally devastate them and debo them, because we got to get that momentum going back into the playoffs. We need that momentum back. We've lost the last 2 games, and momentum is what you need going into the playoffs to keep things going. These guys need to get that pep back in their step, that They need that encouragement to be a better team going into the playoffs. You need to be playing your best football right now. And they're not playing their best football. So why not play guys in there, get them? I don't care if they're playing my son and my aunt and my uncle out there who are 60 and 70 years old. You just got to totally dominate them. You know what I'm saying? You got to beat up on them. You know what I'm saying? Little sisters of the poor, you got to beat up on them. Whoever's on the field, you got to beat up on them. Sure, but you're outclassed because you got to get that mindset going in to totally dominate people. That's how you win Super Bowls.
All right, Jalen Hurts is going to be the biggest question mark when Sunday starts, whether he plays, how long he's going to play. And a key aspect that, again, we're talking about speculation here, we can't possibly know. I got John's feeling on it, got Brendan Lee when he was on with us, and I need yours too. Jalen Hurts and the way he plays the game. The Eagles want to win this game. They kind of need to win this game. But they also have to protect Jalen Hurts kind of from himself, that he is a running quarterback. And the Eagles are very thankful that he's the running quarterback he is, because it's part of what makes Jalen, which is an MVP level quarterback. But more importantly is the fact that Jalen comes out of this game Sunday healthy and capable of quarterbacking the next week in the more important game, the playoffs. Jalen is both a very football IQ, smart football player, but he's also a very instinctive player, and he's also a very belief in himself type player. And he knows how capable he is of running and what kind of plays he can make with his legs. Can he just switch the dial and narrow focus and go more quickly to a slide than trying to make plays? How much faith do you have that Jalen Hurts, with guidance from his coaching staff, can play an adjusted game this week to get the results he needs, but also put himself in less of harm's way?
Total confidence in him.
Okay,
I total confidence. Jalen is not going to hurt himself. He understands his worth to this team. He understands the value that he brings to this team. He sees how the offense is running with him not being in there. So he's going to make sure that he's going to protect himself at every turn. But, you are going to get some knuckleheads that are going to try to, do something crazy because, they're young, dumb, and they want to make a name for themselves.
By the way, the Giants have one of those guys. His name is Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, he's making snow angels.
Who did the snow angels when Nick Foles was on the ground 2 feet away from him and then got to the sidelines and gave the "I put Nick Foles to sleep" sign. Yeah, they've got the exact guy you're describing on the Giants defensive line right now.
So, you have to be smart. We have to understand that what Jalen Hurts' worth is also. But we need this game in the worst way. It's imperative that we get this bye week so everybody else can get healthy also. He will protect himself enough. We are the better team. We are the most dominant team the Giants are going to play. So we got to show that. And, why not just hand the ball off? What Jalen Hurts brings to the table, his ability to run the ball. So if that's a little slight second that the defense has to worry about what he's going to do, is all you need for this run game to open up. That's what they've been missing the past 2 weeks. When you have a quarterback that's slow as pond water back there that I could probably beat in a 40-yard dash, you're not stressing the defense. You're not putting them in a position where they have to worry about you running. They knew that, Gardner Minshew couldn't turn the corner on them, but they know that Jalen Hurts can. And when you have that type of presence on the field, it makes that defense open up and bring an extra guy in the box. That way the passing game will open up. They can throw it outside, but you got to run the ball efficiently first. And you can do that with Jalen Hurts on the field.
I have one other injury issue that we've absolutely undersold this week, and shame on me. And I'll say shame on everybody else in the Philadelphia media. And I understand why that's the case. The Eagles have 4 guys on the roster this year who already, before week 17, have double-digit sacks. And you've got the newbie in Hassan Reddick, who, yes, I was lamenting the Eagles not signing a year before when he went to the Carolina Panthers. I was here on Birds 365 going, bring the homeboy home. Get the Temple kid back here. He can get double digits.
And I
Yeah, so
remember, and I was saying, I don't know, is he a linebacker? Is he a defensive? He's a defensive end. You were like, he can do it all. Just get him here. I remember it. We went, we bantered a bit back and forth a little bit about it.
So I've taken a couple victory laps on that one. But he's a new guy, so he's getting his credit for it as well. He should. Javon Hargrave. Unless your name's Aaron Donald, you don't get double-digit sack from the defensive tackle position. He did. Yep. So that kind of stands out like a sore thumb. So we talk about it a lot. We give him a lot of props for it. BG's BG. He's coming back from the season-long injury. Don't know what he's got left in the tank. Damn if he doesn't get double-digit sacks. Damn if he isn't the veteran leader on his team. Damn if he's one of the most popular guys in this town of Philadelphia. So he's going to get his hosannas. And then there's Josh Sweat. And he kind of flies under the radar as the double-digit sack guy because he's not the new guy. He's not BG. He's not a defensive tackle. Oh, by the way, Josh Sweat, a very key element of the Eagles' pass rush, and they're not going to have him this week. And if you tell me Robert Quinn's going to step in and you're not going to miss a beat, I'm going to ask you what the hell you're smoking. It's a pretty significant loss for the Eagles. Why haven't we talked about it as much as it could be?
Well, you know what, Jody, you're absolutely right, man. You hit the head on the nail because we're gonna ask a guy that's 30, how old is 34 years old, BG, to play significantly more reps now on the outside because Sweat and Hassan Reddick got something going on right now. You know what I'm saying? They got a little man crush with each other trying to get to the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to beat each other there, and that type of where they're trying to compete to get there is the reason why they're so good at getting to the quarterback. Hassan is opening up everything for everybody else, but Sweat is also opening up stuff for Hassan. And both of those guys going back and forth, being so competitive, has allowed this team to reap the benefits of it. Now we got to tie that front end to the back end, get those guys going. But you're right, man. Sweat not being there is one less issue that an offensive coordinator has to worry about. So you're going to see a lot more double teams and chippers on the side where Hassan Reddick is. Now, it may open up more for BG to eat. He might have a better game because of it. And, I couldn't honestly be worth my salt as an analyst if I said Robert Quinn is going to come in and play well. Come on now. I mean, I can't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, so I can't say that, But I will say this. Remember what happened last year in the playoff game? A guy that I think he registered 3 tackles the entire season, comes in and gets 2 sacks on Brady in the playoff game. How does that happen? You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to say Robert Quinn's going to do that. But he's got to show me something, man. He's got to do something, man. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep the rotation going. He just can't be just a body sitting out there.
And yeah, maybe he does pull a Kerrigan-like appearance.
Oh, that's his name. Yeah, Kerrigan. Yeah.
Ryan Kerrigan. You're right. He was. His face was on milk cartons here in Philadelphia. He was missing in action for basically the entire season. Then, in a losing effort, he did make a couple plays against the Bucks and Brady in the postseason game. So maybe we can get that out of Robert Quinn again as well. I would not bet on it. If I were a betting man, which I am, I would not bet on him stepping in and going having us go. Josh, who? Sweat?
Right.
We got Quinn. Yeah, not banking on that. All right. You haven't given us your take yet on how the Giants are going to handle their business. And if you're an Eagle fan going, who is this Giant fan coach think he is? Why he won't tell us what he's saying? Well, Nick Sirianni does the same exact thing. We've been doing this all year here in Philadelphia. Teams like to keep information to themselves and not share it with the fans and, most importantly, the opponent. So Brian Daboll, the coach of the Giants, is not committed to anything as far as playing time goes for his players, stars or otherwise. I can't blame him because if I did, then I'd have to blame Nick Sirianni every week because they do that. I get it. It's annoying, but they're going to do it anyway. So you got to learn to live with it. How do you think Daboll's going to handle it? When push comes to shove, 1:00 on Sunday, Daniel Jones out there starting for the Giants at quarterback?
I don't think so. Even though Daboll's a relatively young coach as far as being a head coach, evidently there's something, because, Vegas is so in tune with all that type of stuff. And somebody said something to Vegas because to have a 14-point line,
yep.
Of course, Saquon's not playing. Of course, Daniel Jones not playing. And, you know, Tyrod Taylor, is he somebody that you have to fear? Not necessarily. I can't see them playing anybody worth their salt in the game on the offensive side of the ball. Defense is a little bit different. Wink Martindale, he's going to want to still light it up a little bit. I bet he still plays Kayvon and those young guys. But as for everybody else, you know, I can't see him going out there and really playing guys and risking them getting hurt with, you know, since they're already locked in at a spot. The Eagles have a little more invested. They have, you know, this is the number one spot. This is a bye week. They need to make sure that they solidify this game and wrap everything up. So we'll have all hands going. They won't play as long or play as much. Once they get up, they'll pull them out as they should. But I don't think that you know they have anybody on the offensive side of the ball that's worth their salt playing. I just can't see it.
All right, one last question before we got to get a break in here. You just mentioned they'll at some point, and you were talking about the Eagles, probably follow the Giants' lead and get some guys off the field. The biggest one, of course, is Jalen Hurts, but others can fall into that category as well. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, I guarantee you, comes out because Miles is not 100% to begin with, and the Eagles have played the other guys at running back as well, so Miles would almost be a non-factor. Goddard is a guy who's somewhat do you Goddard just coming back from an injury, does he need the reps or do you need to protect him? So that one I think is interesting.
Yeah.
What's the lead? What's the score where you say, all right, we got this. It's in our back pocket. At what point, time left in the game, how many points do the Eagles need to be? If it was, hey, either in or out, which we know it's not. You can pull one or two guys. You can pull all of them. There are no rules here. The coaching staff is making it up as they go along. But just generally speaking, what's the number and the time left that you would say, all right, the Eagles can start to take some of their starters out and give them rest and or protection from injury?
What? 2 touchdowns and a field goal, 2 touchdowns. I mean, I think will be kind of safe. They might go out there and just say, all right, I'm going by reps or a half, you know what I'm saying, whether we're up or down, you know, either way it goes. But that's definitely tough. You know, do you risk having your guys out there for an elongated period of times if you're not scoring, if it's not working? That's something they got to worry about. But that's something they got to worry about because their offense isn't working, especially playing against the guys they're going to be playing against. It's imperative they get up early. I think they're going to really get up early. I think they'll be done before halftime.
Before halftime. So you think it'll be enough scores? Let's see. Were the Eagles ever up by 14 points against the Cowboys? No, they didn't get up by 14. I was going to say some teams have shown the capability of coming back. Now, I don't know about the Tyrod Taylor-led Giant offense coming back from down 14 points, so you might be right. That could be the number if they get up by 2 touchdowns.
Tyrod's not as athletic as Daniel Jones also. So even though he's pretty good, he's not a real running quarterback. He's a drop back passer. So he'll be there, you know what I'm saying? He'll be there, you know. So they want to keep him in the box, make sure they keep him, you know, within the framework and rush him accordingly. You know, this could be a really, really short time the starters will be in there.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I do remember from the previous Giants-Eagles meeting. Tyrod Taylor actually making a play with his legs, pulled the ball down, took off, and he looked Daniel Jones-like. That hasn't been his career, but he did do it against the Eagles subs because I just asked you, when can you pull the guys out? Oh, they had done that week up in New York. They got a big enough lead that a couple of guys got off the field on both offense and defense for the Eagles. And Tyrod did take off and make a play. All right, Jody Mack with Barrett Brooks here on Birds 365, leading into the Giants and the Eagles on Sunday. We'll be right back with more Eagles-Giants analysis.